Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Go Racing League for round number 7 of Portimao. My name is IRT Indigo, and joined alongside me today is Harry Palmer.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're from. Yeah, should be a good race.
How you doing, mate? You alright?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties like we did last week because of my Ethernet cable or my internet, but I managed to find another Ethernet cable, so it's all good, so no problems with streaming whatsoever. However, there were 15 drivers on the circuit. Well, 15 drivers participated in tonight's event, so not the turnout we wanted, but somehow we've got less than in Vegas, because a lot of people turn up in Vegas, but here in Portimao I thought more drivers would turn up. So yeah, I think a lot of them went to a lot of them put their absences in as they didn't want to drive around the circuit. I understand why, because it's a lovely circuit and I really do enjoy this track, but other people's opinions. What's your opinion on this track, Harry Palmer?
I despise the circuit. It doesn't suit how I drive. Too many corners. It's the hills that are the issue for me.
Just adjusting the settings here. Yeah, but I understand why a lot of people don't like the circuit, but for me, I absolutely enjoy the circuit. It's always been a good track to me. I've always had decent pace around here, so it's a shame it's not in the actual F1, because I think it came back in, I think it first appeared back in 2020 when the COVID pandemic hit and replaced some of the tracks. It also appeared in 2021 and they got replaced in 2022, I think, by... I can't remember what track it got replaced by, but unfortunately we no longer have this venue in Formula 1 itself. But this racetrack is still used in different classes such as MotoGP and all the Premier classes as well. So this track is still used, but not by Formula 1, and it's always shown some good racing around here. In the MotoGP series we've seen a lot of side-by-side action on the straight as well, and a lot of slipstream going down into turn 1, and it's great for battling in general. But yeah, 2020 and 2021 wasn't much to be shown in that race, other than the first lap of 2020 where it was wet and some people were struggling. I think Carlos Sainz took the lead on the opening lap of the race. Then obviously when it was dry, both Mercedes flew past, as it was a dominant year for that Mercedes car. As we head down into turn 1, then flick it in, hit the inside curb, went out wide, but not too wide obviously due to invalidation. Into turn 3, down to the gears, hit the inside curb, just be patient on the throttle through turn 4 because it's so easy to spin. I think a lot of drivers got caught out when this track was used mostly in league racing back in 2020 and 2021. Headed down into turn 5, another heavy braking zone, and hits the apex very nicely there. Doesn't run out wide to use all the track. It's flat out through here, no problems whatsoever through that corner. Now the double right hander is fast for the first part, but the second part it is very difficult as it's uphill and it's very easy to lose the car. As we head downhill then into the fast left-hander, which is called Craig Jones. I think it pays tribute to a superbike rider who unfortunately passed away due to an incident. I don't know if it was at Portimao because I read it somewhere, but I can't exactly remember if it was here or not. As we head down into turn 13 we go. The left-hander can be very difficult on traction, and in this last sector it will be very difficult due to the tyres being very hot at this stage. And you can see a slight snap of oversteer, and unfortunately for Tobes, that lap time is ruined, Palmer.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. He managed to get around the whole lap and invalidated at what most people call the final proper corner, which is unfortunate. It looked like it would have been a good time on the board. I was on board with Mark Wilson, and he seems to have started his lap very, very close to KXI, who's invalidated. He seems to be getting a lot of dirty air through the final corner. I don't think it should affect him too much though.
Yeah, might get a decent tow, but obviously in the corners you don't want to sit behind another driver as he crosses the line into P2 with a 17.6, and Mazzles goes into P3. 3/10 is the gap that separates them. Indeed, Jesus currently on pole position with Claire Piar in P2 in the Haas with a 17.4. Now Ross goes into P2 with a 17.4. Now Nacho goes into P2 with a 17.3. So all the times tumbling and coming in, and in the chat it says Craig Jones passed away at Brands Hatch 2008. Thank you, Wee Rabbi. Was he a superbike rider or a British superbike rider? Obviously the difference is world superbikes and British superbikes, which are two venues I've been to. Here comes DC coming towards the final corner, flat out through here, should have no problems, and let's see what he can do. Currently third in the championship, he goes second overall with a 16.9, then the CRL boys first, second and third. Talk about the championship, let's have a quick look at it as I have got it up. It's very close. Indian Jesus leads Crack by 4 points. DC in P3 6 points away from the championship leader. Tobes in P4 ahead of Rapid. Those two are very close to each other, but Rapid wasn't only joined, I think, through the second and third race, so he has missed a race or two, but currently on a charge is currently P5 in the championship, only 10 points away. So from P1 to P5, 10 points is the difference. Further back, King Panda, who's got 2 podiums in a row, is 6th in the championship ahead of KXI, who won the first race in Saudi Arabia. Dragon Eclair PR in P8, picked up a podium or 2. Dragon Speed in 9th ahead of Jay Hartnell. Bunnies in 11th, Nacho 12th. Stevan in 13th place, Ghost Glowstick in 14th. A's in 15th, Punishment 16th. Leon 17th, Mazzles 18th, Sophian in 19th, and Mark Wilson, who hasn't got any points, in P20 as Crack goes into P3. Also, another driver to keep an eye on this season. Been very quick, and let's see, he didn't score any points in Saudi Arabia due to a difficult race, but ever since that he's been very quick. Finished in P3 in Las Vegas, and also in America, in Texas, sorry, he finished in P2. Lost that due to a win, due to a 10-second time penalty, I think, after his safety car infringement that caused some drivers to go in the pit lane and retire or change the front wings. So that's why he's further down than he wants to be. But so far, India Jesus, the man who leads the championship, is currently in P1.
Yeah, I'm just on board with Rapid, and I'll be honest, he's looking quite rapid. Just coming out of Sector 1, I think. I'm not sure if it's a glitch or if this is, because I know the first laps can be a glitch. He got the fastest Sector 1 on his first lap, which he's coming around into the end of Sector 2 now, start of Sector 3, and he sets the fastest Sector 2. I'm not sure if that's a glitch or if he is doing this, but I mean, after last race, nothing's out of his grasp. You know, he's able to do anything. I think he won it last week, didn't he? By quite some margin as well.
Yeah, he did as well, ahead of King Panda, and also in Mexico he missed out. Look at that, he's hooking the inside curve on the last corner as he crossed the line now. It's going to be a 16.7, and that is a few hundreds quicker than Indy Jesus. So he goes on to pole position for the time being, looking very quick here as he's entered Tier 3. So let's see if he can try and close that deficit down in the championship. Polishman, he's a very quick driver. He's had his moments now and then. It's just the consistency, this tyre strategy calls, because I know he's one of those drivers, when a safety car comes out, he tends to stay out there, and then he drops down the order when the safety car comes in. So if he can get his act together, I was going to say something else, if he can get his act together, then hopefully he could try and be up there further up in the championship, because he deserves to be. You know, he's a very quick driver. I've seen him in the past as he almost lost it coming out of Portimao as we head down into turn 13. Took an odd approach going into Portimao as well. He did take a wider angle. He took a very acute angle going down there, so we didn't really get the exit he would have needed going out of Portimao as we head through the penultimate corner, like I said, a proper final corner. And now we head to the final corner itself at turn 15. And yeah, some people said they don't like Portimao, but in the comments, King Panda says he loves it, and he's currently in P15, so hopefully he can get a lap time on it. And Polishman goes into 11, so I'm not going to say a representative lap time because a few mistakes now and then. So on board with Panda at 22.2 in the first sector, and Alpine overall have been looking very strong this season. I've got to admit, a few podiums picked up now and then, and Rapid and King Panda I think are a good combination, as we know Panda picked up COVID at the French GP, and I think he retired at the end of it. He did a very good job, but Mazzles has been disqualified for going the wrong way. He's actually spun going down into turn 14. You can see the AlphaTauri on the full map, who's stationary for the time being, but now he's back there and he's been disqualified, so he'll start down in last place. Unfortunately for him, is the AlphaTauri driver. Was in AlphaTauri last season when it was tier 4, and now in AlphaTauri this season. His highest qualifying position, I think, was at the Spanish Grand Prix when him and his teammate were very high up the standings. And here is Panda coming towards the final corner. He says he loves Portimao. Can he join his teammate on the front row? He's a bit further off, you know. It's a 10th place with a 17.6, and he'll be looking to improve. He's almost a second off his teammate, so definitely looking to improve on that lap time. Hopefully for his sake, it's a banker lap.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You know, I expected, obviously. Oh, I think we've just had a spin. As never mind, he's warming up his tyre for Nacho spun it then. It's an interesting one. Obviously, there's two drivers not set a lap time. Tobes is. I'll be honest, I've not done research around this track yet. I probably should have, but yeah, Tobes is on a lap and he's looking quite comfortable with this. I'm not sure if he's done any practice, but it looks like he's sitting a good lap. It's just, I think it's just most people, I'll say all the grid, looking quite nice tonight. You know, just generally hope they do well, sorry. So I'm just trying to get the race result from last race, and I've lost them. Give me 1 second.
Here's Tobes across the line, and he goes into P4 with a 17.0. DC took pole position with a 16. Only by 4,000 as well, so that's the margin around here, around this 4.6 kilometre track. The undulation, the elevation changes, the high speed corners, the downhill, uphill sections, and you still manage to get close to that time, so that's incredible with the fine margins these drivers are showing. KXI currently in a lap time, there's Aston Martin ahead of us who's going very slowly off the track to keep out the way. KXI currently 400s up in the middle sector, but looking to find more time if you can in this final sector. I noticed a few drivers in the final sector losing the back end due to the tyres being very hot around the slow speed corners, and now he makes his way towards the flat out right hander, and let's see what lap time he can set. Some people do run out of EOS, but I don't think it's a problem in this game, because I remember back in 2021 when you come up to the line, he goes P4, he found 7/10 in the final sector, so on his previous lap something must have happened and he's managed to rectify that, and he's only about a tenth away from pole. Good lap time indeed from KXI, and we'll see if anybody can try and get up there with Nacho currently invalidating on his flying lap. Dragon of Speed currently out there, but he's not improving, is the Ferrari driver, so not looking good so far from the German driver. Claire PR as well, not on a lap time either, so let's see what others are doing out there. Crack is currently coming towards turn 5. He's currently 600s up in the first sector alone, and let's see what he does throughout the rest of the lap as we make our way now into turn 6 and turn 7. That's flat out through turn 6, then on the brakes at turn 7, and it's a very difficult corner indeed. You can lose the back end so easily through there, especially if you go side by side. Coming through Craig Jones, a former superbike rider, as we make our way now into Portimao, and let's see how it takes. It's a very easy corner to get wrong as well. He's 3/10 up, but there's Aston Martin in the way, but thankfully gets out of it. Hopefully he doesn't impede him. That was punishment because Dragon of Speed is currently in the pit lane, or indeed Jesus, sorry. Going through turn 14, let's have a look how he takes it very nicely indeed. Could be on course for pole position as we make our way now into this fast right hander we go, and let's see if we can try to snatch pole away from DC as he crosses the line now. It's a 16.7. Wow, these margins are so close. It's about 7 thousandths from P1 to P3, and pole is anybody's game here. Palmer.
Yeah, the only person to not set a lap yet, and I think he's on one now. Yeah, he is. Jay Hartnell. Looking to see what he can do. Last race, he was the only driver to not score points, which is very unfortunate. 12 positions for points, and he got P13. Everyone else behind him had DNF'd. I think he's just hoping for points to recover from last race, if I'm honest. But yeah, coming around the final corner now, he's looking quite comfortable, and he's going to set a 1 minute and a 17.2, which is exactly in the midfield, which is, I presume, where he wants to be.
Nice there from Jay Hartnell in PA, and let's see what Dragon of Speed could do. Currently not on a lap time is Dragon of Speed, and Polishman is, he's 3/10 up in the first sector, now 6/10 up in the middle sector, so much better lap time here from a Polishman. 4 minutes left to go on the clock. ILT Crack is currently on a flying lap, I think, along with Jay Hartnell, who's just finished one. King Panda is on a lap, he just crossed the line, and I think he's currently going towards the end of the first sector. We've got Polishman on board with him, coming towards the final corner now. Let's see what lap time he can set the Aston Martin. Can he join his teammate as he crosses the line now? It's going to be a 17.6, so puts himself up into P12. We're looking to improve on that lap time. So elsewhere, we've got King Panda, who's currently almost 3/10 up in the first sector alone, so that's a decent start to his potentially flying last lap as he makes his way downhill into Craig Jones corner, and now coming through Portimao. Lovely corners indeed. I know a lot of drivers don't like it because it's so easy to make mistakes through here, as we make our way now towards turn 11 and going into turn 12. 4/10 up in the middle sector is King Thai Panda, and those 4/10s not good enough, unfortunately. That's going to be about P7 or P8, depending if he can find more time in this final sector as he exits the penultimate corner now. Let's see how he handles it as we make our way now into the final corner we go. Like I mentioned, back in 2020 and 21, a lot of drivers went out of EOS before the line. He goes into P17 with a 17.1. I meant to say P7 with a 17.1. There's not even 17 drivers on the circuit. But we've got three minutes left in the session. I can hear you laughing, Palm, in the background. DC coming in a lap time. He's currently 1/10 up in the middle sector as we make our way down into turn 13. This 1/10 will put him on pole, but can he manage to get it all together in the final sector where the tyres will heat up the most, and obviously the car will be the car will be very unstable. But looks like he's managed it so far as we make our way now into the final corner. Good evening, Cole Paradox. Good evening, Mighty Atom, Matt Pell, Wee Rabby. As we make our way now towards the line, it's pole position for DC with a 16.6. And interestingly, he's in the top 3 in the Drivers' Championship, but he hasn't scored a win yet. He's been on the podium quite a few times this season, but hasn't got a win. And he was leading the championship a few races ago, because I remember, I think the top 3 were equal on points, but obviously we had more races since then. And DC hasn't got a win yet, so we'll be looking to get that on the tally this season. The designer on United says, hi, I just subscribed to you. How are you? I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you doing? Indeed, Jesus coming towards the line now. It's a 16.6, and he's only about 100 away from pole position, so that's very close indeed, with 1 minute and 55 seconds left to go.
Yeah, I was on board with DC's lap there. He looked very comfortable from start to finish. No major issues. Yeah, there's obviously people starting the laps now, people on out laps. They've not got a lot of time, I don't think. And mind, they've got 1 minute and 30 seconds. There's yellow flags down the second straight, which I presume, yeah, that's just out laps. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking around to see what's going on. I've not seen any impeding, which is a good sign. And interestingly, Panda's retired in the pits in P7. I thought he would have gone out for his last lap, but apparently not.
Yeah, I thought he would have too, but probably saving a set of sauce later on, because it's so easy to spit out here. We might see a few virtuals or safety cars as we head down into turn 1 for ILT Crack. DC went very early on his last lap, so did Indeed Jesus, so I don't expect them to do another flying lap, if they want to, of course, with the tyres being already 1 lap old. Turn 4, deselected there for ILT Crack, currently in P3 with a 16.7. What can he do? 9,000's down in the first sector as we head down turn 5, and takes the corner very nicely, using all the track on the right hand side too. No signs of locking up going through turn 5 as we make our way now towards 6 and 7. DC carrying a lot of speed there into turn 7. Might have got a bit wider than he would have wanted. You can see the back of the car stepping out at the exit of the corner as we head downhill into turn number 8 we go. Saving it a set of softs just in case, so didn't have time. And that's Panda's comment there, so he's saving a set of softs. ILT Crack is currently a 10th down in the middle sector, so not improving unfortunately for him as we make our way now through turn 13 and turn 14. A bit wide on the exit of turn 13 there, but let's see in these final 2 corners if we can gain any time and try to take pole away from DC, who's currently looking for his first win and pole of the season. Here he is, ILT Crack, heading towards the line. What's it going to be for him? He crossed the line and he can't improve. Did find a bit of time in the last sector, but not enough to improve his position. Rapid, I think he's just started his last lap, so he heads down turn 1, the end of the first sector, 400 away. Didn't really connect with the apex there. The back of the car stepping out as he tries to get the power, so already at turn 5 struggling through there as we make our way now through turn 6 and turn 7. Lovely corners indeed, carrying a lot of speed, but obviously want to scrub it all off, heading down to turn 7 as we head downhill now into this left-hander we go, pay tribute to a former World Superbike rider. And World Superbikes is a great sport as well. Same with British Superbikes and MotoGP. I think those categories still race around here. I'm not quite sure if British Superbikes do. I know MotoGP do, because it was the first race of the season last season where we saw, I think, Pecco Bagnaia won the race. I think Pecco Bagnaia as well won the championship ahead of Jorge Martin last season. So that's a great championship for Pecco Bagnaia. But here we are then. Rapid comes towards the line. It's going to be a 16.6, and he narrowly missed out on pole position by 500 as well. The top 3 with a 16.6. Incredible margins. And I think Tobes in the Ferrari put his car into P4. Elsewhere, I think Nacho's on the track somewhere. No, yes he is, but he's not improving sadly for him. So P10 at best. But qualifying is over. And Wee Rabbi says Pecco. Yeah, I'm not going to say it out loud, but what's wrong with Pecco Bagnaia? He's a decent rider. But anyways, that's qualifying done, and we'll see what happens to the race. Palmer, what are you thinking about the race?
I'm expecting Rapid to pull it back again. P3 in quali, and after the last race in Vegas, it's going to be very interesting, I think. But I mean, DC didn't race last race. Good to see. Excited to see what he can do. Sorry. And I've not seen him. If I'm honest, I've not done comms for any other race in Tier 3, so I'm excited to see what he can pull out of the bag. And same with Indian Jesus. I remember racing with him a few seasons ago. Very, very quick driver, and only 100th off of CRL Real DC, I hope it's going to be tight.
Yeah, me too. It looks to be a promising race between the top guys there, especially with those guys so close to the championship. Not much in it, so with the time counted down to end qualifying, we'll see what happens during the race, and it promised to be a good race too, with the top guys scrapping it out. So just to reiterate, in the championship, Panda, sorry, I was looking at the last week's results in Austin. Indeed Jesus currently in front by 4 points ahead of IRT Crack. DC P3, 6 points separates him and Indian Jesus. Tobes in 4th place. Tobes, I think he had a podium in the first race in Saudi Arabia, but ever since then he hasn't had a podium since that race. So he's still in P4 in the championship, despite not having podiums, and his consistent pace as well being in the top 5 has helped him be P4 in the championship. Rapid, who is closing in on the championship, currently in P5, ahead of his teammate King Panda. In P6, KXI, who won Saudi Arabia, in 7th place ahead of Claire PR, Dragon Speed in 9th. Jay Hartnell in 10th place, same points as Bunnies, but obviously Bunnies is not here tonight, so Jay Hartnell can try to extend that gap. Nacho in 12th ahead of Steve Van, who's not here. Glowstick is not here too, with Eisen in P15 is also not here. Punishment in 16th place, Leon's not here. Mazzles is in 18th, Sophia's not here, and Mark Wilson, who still hasn't got any points on board, which I expect him to be further up, but unfortunately keeps retiring in the pit lane, so hopefully change of fortune in Portugal. Just not a fan, prefer the underdogs. Jorge Martin is my boy now, lol. Yeah, more Jorge Martin. I was supporting him. I don't have a favourite rider. Well, I do actually, Marc Marquez, hence the 93 in my name. But yeah, I was hoping for Jorge Martin to win the 2023 MotoGP World Championship, but Bagnaia had the better of him. Plus, Martin was stronger in the sprint races, not the feature races. And yeah, Marc Marquez is the GOAT. I agree with that, It's something we can agree on. But I still think Pecco Bagnaia is one of the top boys out there. Hopefully Fabio Quartararo as well also finds his act and join in on the championship fight. And Marc Marquez on a brand new bike too, changed team from Repsol Honda. And I can't remember what team he's chosen now, I've actually forgotten, which is bad for me being a big fan. I was a big fan of MotoGP, but nowadays I just watch it now and then. But unlike F1, which I'm always watching, I'm more of a fan of as well. That's what I prefer. And we're just waiting for the drivers to ready up and we could get racing. I think the formation lap is off. No, it's not. I think it's on.
Yeah, it should be on. Yeah, it is. Perfect. Yeah, I think after the last race, Mazzles especially looking for hopefully a better race. He lasted a whole, was it 3 corners? Before, I'm not actually sure what happened, I haven't seen the reports, but ended up in the wall at turn 3, turn 4. Yeah, not the greatest of starts to, I presume, his first race around Vegas, especially CRLs. But yeah, it was good, excited to see what can happen tonight.
I remember Turbs as well, he lost the podium because Indian Jesus made an audacious lunge down into turn 1 at Vegas. I'm not quite sure if that was penalised. Yeah, I knew he was on a Ducati. I don't know why I didn't say it. I just didn't want to guess really. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what he could do on the Ducati because the Repsol Honda was a very difficult bike. But during pre-season testing or winter testing, Repsol Honda, Marc Marquez was very quick on the Ducati, topped the timing sheets too. So hopefully he's back to his old self. And if he has one more big crash, it's done for him because he's had too many crashes. But I'm still surprised he's been MotoGP because I think any regular guys having that many crashes wouldn't survive. A bit of rain at the end, says IRT Crack, so that should be very interesting. So let's see if the rain does impact this race and the tyre strategies is mixed between the mediums and the hards. We'll see if anybody's chosen the right strategies. Which will it be, the hards or the mediums? The chances of safety cars can be very high as well. But there's lots of runoff areas, so I don't expect many crashes around here, other than a few spins now and then. But really, nobody should be hitting the wall due to the amount of runoff area there is around here in Portimao. But are you excited for the race, Palmer?
Yeah, the tyre choices are not concerning me, but they're interesting. Obviously, no soft runners, which I think everyone expected. But Mazzles, Dragon at the back, they are very quick drivers. I think they've just had an unfortunate run, especially Mazzles. Yeah, I think as long as everyone gets a good start, and then if it is true that the rain's at the end, as long as that's kept clean, I think we should be on for a good race.
I think I remember in Tier 1 a few seasons ago here in Portugal there was contact to Turn 1. I think it was Tony who got involved into Turn 1 contact, Pyro as his PSN is known, but hopefully that doesn't happen. I think he was trying to avoid an incident. There's a Ferrari in the background there, out of shape. I don't know who that was. I think it was Dragon Speed. But if I remember correctly, Tony was trying to avoid an incident, but unfortunately he got involved in an incident by slowing down too much and got tagged by the rear. And I think he spun Ferg out too. As we see the lights go out, 3, 4, 5 lights, and we are away for the Portugal Grand Prix for round 7, and I think Indy Jesus has jumped DC due to the medium compound tyres. He takes the initial lead, heading down into turn 1. Then let's see if they get out unscathed. You can see Rapid all over the back of DC, overtakes him too. He's on the medium compounds as well, as DC is trying to fire back underneath. As we head down into turn 4 we go. Rapid takes the place away as KXI scrapping with toes further down the field up into P5. There's a multi-car battle going on here, so let's see if they get out unscathed with both McLarens. And Clerpior gets a 5-second time penalty for cutting the corners. A 3 abreast moment going down into turn 5 with both McLarens and the Ferrari of Tobes. Tobes has dropped back dramatically. He's down into P5. I think he started in P4 as KXI is up into P4 now in the Red Bull with ILT crack there too. And down the inside goes Nacho. You can see the back of the car stepping out as he went to the corner in a cute angle and therefore lost the rear end and lost the place too for good measure as he's tried to gain one but lost it at the same time. Down the inside goes the Aston Martin punishment up the inside now of Ross. That's very tight indeed. You can see a few cars wheel spinning the exit of Portimao, but luckily not in the spin itself as we end lap 1 with Indy Jesus in the lead by 1 second. That's crucial for Indy Jesus to pull that 1 second gap on Rapid ahead of him or behind him. It's 1.2 now with DC and P3 separated 1 second between themselves. So 1 second gaps are starting to form between the top 4 as Mark Wilson's retired already.
Oh, no, he's crashed at the final corner. I think he's lost the rear end. I think he was on his own. But until that moment, I think it was a very clean lap 1, especially for Portimao. I noticed that Panda's dropped down to 13th. I'm not sure if he's had an incident or if he's just spun. But hopefully we'll find out at some point. But it's a virtual safety car, and there was a 1 second gap between the top 3, which is interesting. That's very, very rapid from Indian Jesus. Rapid on that topic is up into P2. With DC in P3, KXI in P4, he's had a good start. And IRT Crack, I think he's in P2 in the championship, and he's down in 5th. I think he's hoping to get past KXI and fight with the leaders as soon as he can. Yeah, it's going to be a close one, I think.
I think it is as well. Indy Jesus and Rapid at game 1 place due to the expense of DC and P3 down 2 now. KXI up 2 places. Crack stayed where he started. Clerpior game 1 place. Tobes has lost 3 places. I mentioned he had a difficult start. He was in P8 but game 1 immediately and up into P7. The virtual safety car has ended then as we continue racing around here in Portimao, and Indy Jesus continues to lead the pack ahead of Rapid as well in P2. But it should swing back towards Rapid's way later on in the race then. Shouldn't worry too much about that gap opening up, considering that Indy Jesus is on the medium compound tyres, so Rapid just needs to focus on his own race, not push too hard and try and use too much ERS to get himself back in the DRS range of Indy Jesus. DRS is enabled, but if Rapid can get in DRS range of Indy Jesus early stages of this race, that won't allow Indy Jesus to pull away on those medium compound tyres and build that deficit later on in the race when he switches over to the hard compound tyres. So if Rapid can get himself there, punishment almost spun going out of turn 2. He clipped the inside curb and now he's under threat from Kingside Panda, who tries to go on the inside of turn 3 but can't quite do so. Also the AlphaTauri of Maslow went off the track. Kingside Panda gets a decent exit out of turn 4 as we head down into turn 5. Panda having the DRS, punishment trying to stick around the outside as they remain side by side going down into turn 5. And let's see who outtractions who. It's Panda who's up into P11 ahead on Punishment, as Punishment had a really bad exit out of turn 2 as he clatters the curb on the inside. I see people spin there in the past before when they've hit the inside curb too much, and now DC's under big pressure from ILT Crack and KXI right behind him then, so the gap is 2.2. KXI had a snap of oversteer, allows Crack through. That's a great opportunistic move from Crack, who goes up into P4, and now he'll put pressure on DC ahead of him. So it looks like DC in these early stages of the Grand Prix is starting to struggle now, and he's under threat from a lot of cars behind him, who's currently the leader of this DRS train.
Yeah, it's interesting here. Indian Jesus on the medium tyres in P1, but 1.8 seconds behind is Rapid on the hards, which is interesting because there's a group of 3 on the hard tyres ahead of a handful of medium runners, which you would have thought the mediums would be ahead of the hards, but it's interesting, and the fact that Rapid's keeping up somewhat with Indian Jesus is it's weird to say the least. Yeah.
The gap has opened up between himself and Indian Jesus, but as we head down into turn 5 now, KXI has DC's lost a place towards Crack as well, as he's demoted down into P4. I think KXI tried to have a go, but DC was able to defend from him and stay in P4 for the time being. Clear PR with that 5-second time penalty, gained the corner cutter. Oh, Jay Hartnell spun. Where is that as he spins out of turn 7? That right-hander, that underlay to the right-hander, very difficult to get right. But yeah, unfortunately for Clear PR, because I remember him picking up a drive-through penalty under a safety car as well in Vegas, and now early stages of this Grand Prix picks up a 5-second time penalty, has the Brit, so won't be looking good when he makes his pit stop. He'll have to serve it in the pit lane, unfortunately for him, so he'll lose 5 seconds once he makes his pit stop, and it will tumble down the order as well. As we head on to lap 4 out of 33 then, Indian Jesus continues to extend the gap between himself and Rapid. As you can see in front of us, the McLaren tried to make the slipstream as we head down into turn 1 then, and let's see if anybody tries to make a move down the inside, and nobody does for the time being. Nacho has got past Ross going down or before turn 1. I think Clear PR might have extended track limits going out of turn 2 as well. That's very critical, especially in the dirty air. It's so easy to run out wide in the dirty air due to the engine overheating too, the tyres overheating, and as we head down into turn 5, no moves being made. But you want to be very, very careful going side by side into turn 1. So easy to make contact there, and I've seen it plenty of times where people try to go side by side, none of them willing to yield, and therefore contact is made. And I've always said it in the past as well, back in 2021, where you want to be fully alongside or fully overtake your rival before turn 1, not go side by side, because contact will be made. I think I remember Verstappen and Shaw making contact back in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, Verstappen's championship winning year. He finished 3rd, I think, in the Grand Prix because the Mercedes was very good around this track. Hamilton ahead of Bottas with Verstappen in P3. I think Ricciardo was very good too around the circuit, finishing, I think, in P6, fighting with Sergio Perez. But you can see DC is under massive pressure now from the Red Bull behind. He's dropped out of KXI's Crack's DRS range and under pressure himself, as KXI will get the DRS to the back of the Mercedes driver and pulls to the right hand side to overtake him. So DC from pole, unfortunately, is down into P5, and Clear PR gaining a lot of speed on the Mercedes, but not close enough to make a move into turn 1 then. So it looks like DC has got some really good qualifying pace, but in terms of race pace is starting to struggle here tonight.
Yeah, Mazel's had a great start. Sorry, I was on mute. From P15 disqualified in qualifying up into P11, which is interesting. I've said that quite a few times. I was just looking into Clerper's penalty, and it looks like he gets slightly pushed wide at turn 1 on the first lap, which is kind of inevitable. And I take it he just can't give the positions back. Unfortunately, has to serve it and can't get it removed. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there.
And Clear PR has been overtaken by Tobes as well. I was about to say Sergio Perez for some reason. And they're going side by side in turn 6 and turn 7. Clear PR on the inside, on the curb, had clattered the curb and had to give way to Tobes, who made a great move and up into P6. Is the Ferrari driver currently in P4 the championship without any wins this season, has Clear PR. Well, both of them actually. Clear PR and Tobes haven't got any wins this season, and Indy Jesus looking on course to win the 3rd race of the season as well, or third win of the season, as Tobes pulls the right hand side to overtake DC. So DC yet again has lost another position as he puts his Ferrari up into P5 ahead of the Mercedes driver. So it looks like DC is really starting to struggle on those hard compound tyres. But he hits the back of the Ferrari driver, outbrakes himself, and obviously he doesn't want to overtake him because he hits him. And Nacho gains a place from Clear PR, who got bogged down. And here comes Ross as well. So Clear PR's lost about 2 places, maybe 3 now, due to Panda taking advantage too, as he breaks late going into turn number 5 to try and stay ahead. But contact's made, and Clear PR's lost another place and another place towards Maslow's then. So that's a really horrible first few corners of this lap for Clear PR, who tried to avoid an incident, but cars kept coming after him, and unfortunately he's down to P11.
Yeah, I'm astonished by what's just happened. Indian Jesus is now 4 seconds. I know he's on mediums, but 4 seconds in 7 laps. As we've got a crash further back. I think he's at Mazzles. Yeah, it is. He's spun. Not sure if he's had a crash or if he's just spun. But Indian Jesus, 4 seconds is a big gap for 7 laps. That's, yeah, it's crazy. I can't remember where he started. I'm gonna try and get that up. Sorry. He's gone up 1 position. Dan's lost 5 positions. DC. Yeah, not the start he would have wanted, but hopefully he can bring it back when he pits for the mediums later on.
Yeah, let's see if Rapid on the medium compound tyres could try and gain the deficit on Indy G's. But King Panda made a great move on Ross. He puts himself into P9 into turn 1. And actually, you know, Crack, he's actually in the DRS range of Rapid now. So Rapid and Crack and KXI have caught up to the back of Rapid, and now he finds himself under pressure from his fellow hard runner in P3, and KXI on the mediums too, still in the DRS range, but quite low on the ERS himself as well. So I wonder if Rapid, he's still good on ERS management, he's actually made a mistake out of turn 7 as well, going a bit wider than he would have wanted, and now Crack will try to take advantage of that too. I remember in Vegas, these two had a really great battle as well at the Vegas Grand Prix, where Rapid came out on top because Crack, I think he had front wing damage as well. No, he pitted quite early to get rid of the medium compound tyres. He made some questionable strategy calls, I remember, in Vegas, and he had front wing damage too after making contact, so he lost a lot, and strategy calls is the reason why he was further down than he expected to be. But here in Portugal, gets the strategy right, he can be very quick at very certain times. But here he is on the back of Rapid with the DRS wide open. Let's see if he'll go for it in turn 1 or wait for turn 4, and he pulls the right side to make an overtake into turn 1. He goes ahead of Rapid, but Rapid gets a decent exit, comes back underneath him as we go side by side into turn number 3 we go, and Rapid's back up into P2 just like that. But another dose of DRS for Crack as he's at the detection point behind him. DRS open once again, and let's see what happens down to turn 4. Punishment spun going out of turn 2. Crack goes down the inside of Rapid into turn number 5, and does he make the move stick this time? Yes, he does, as he puts himself into P2. But that battle has gave India Jesus another second. The gap is now 5.4 between himself and India Jesus too, so looking very comfortable and unchallenged at the front of the field. But will it swing towards the other's way towards the second half of the race? As we see Nacho all over the back of DC then. DC starting to struggle on those hard compound tyres as we're on lap 9 out of 33. Nacho's all over the back of him, and let's see when he'll overtake him. I don't know if DC is running a... I don't know, is he running a low downforce setup? Probably because of the rain later on. It looks like he's really struggling in a straight line too as he gets swamped up, and now Nacho's all over the back of him. He's really starting to struggle. He's lost 2 seconds towards Tobes in front of him, who took about a few laps ago. And Rapid once again all over the back of Crack, and he pulls the right side and overtakes him back for P2. And let's have a look at what happens to Nacho and DC. Nacho pulls the right hand side, and an AlphaTauri and Mazzles has gone for a spin at the exit of the turn 14 corner, and Nacho's up into P6 ahead of DC, who's dropped from 1st down to 7th in 10 laps. So it's really been a struggle there for DC and P3 in the championship.
I'm going to keep saying this, but Indian Jesus, he's got some pace on him. It's now nearly 6 seconds as Jay Hartnell pits, I presume, for a new wing. I'll check after. But there's a few fights going on the field. You've got Panda, DC and Nacho for P6, and then you've got KXI, Crack and Rapid for P2. It's close, I'll give them that. Yeah, I think DC, sorry, I need to stop. DC is he's not where he wants to be. He's lost six positions now from where he started in 10 laps. Hopefully he can bring it back towards his last stint.
Yeah, I hope so, for his sake as well. In P3 the championship, because it's so tight there, you can't afford to lose any positions and points here at this stage to add to the championship, because it's not 24 or 23 rounds. It's not a full race. I think it's 15 rounds this season, so can't afford to lose too many points. And being in P7 behind Nacho now, and hopefully he can find some pace later on. Maybe just not so comfortable with the car settings whatsoever. Maybe maybe his setup was more lead towards qualifying than the race itself, and it's cost him here in the race itself. But Rapid, the battle battle for P2 is still continuing between Rapid, Crack and KXI as Indeed Jesus continues to pull that gap over Rapid, and that'll be very good for him once he hops onto the hard compound tyres to take him towards the end of the race, and hopefully can try and stay in front with the rest of them being on the medium compound tyres and trying to claw his way back in. But on lap 11 out of 33, then the same lap distance as well at the Spanish Grand Prix, 66 laps around Portugal and 66 laps around Spain as well, so they're the same laps. It's the same with Vegas and Saudi Arabia too. I think I mentioned it last race as well at Vegas, but here in Portimao, I think with the field spread starts to happen and people on different tyres, not the race I was expecting, but can't always be a good race for sure. But the P2, the battle is intensifying between Rapid and Crack, and Rapid, who's been so quick in the last few races as well, and he's currently P5 in the championship, 1 point away from Tobes and 3 points away from DC and 5 points away from Crack. So it's looking very good for Rapid so far. He can finish P2, but a long way to go in this race so far. And anything could happen as well with the tyre strategies changing, or maybe a safety car too around the circuit. I think if to cause a safety car, you would be crashing that turn before, because uphill section, the wall's very close as well, so easy to lose traction, and that's when we see most safety cars being deployed around this particular part of the track. But here we are then, uphill into turn 4 we go. So easy to lose the back of the car, especially in dirty air with drivers following you. But Crack is not close enough to make a move down the inside of Rapid going into turn 5. And looks like the gap's now stabilising between Indeed Jesus and Rapid, but about 6 seconds. So maybe the medium tyres start to fade away just slightly there for Rapid, for Indeed Jesus and P1. But still, got a lot of EOS at his disposal too, despite being in front and alone. And his EOS management has been very sufficient too throughout this whole race.
Yeah, DC's he's all over the back of Nacho now. I presume he's got his pace back. His tyres have settled in, right temps. Still P7, but I think he's waiting for Nacho to catch up to stay in the DRS. Because if you go ahead now, if anything, he'll just lose more time with the DRS. The fight's still on for P2 here between Rapid and Crack. Let's not forget KXI. Yeah, KXI still on the back of Rapid. Crack, sorry. Oh my lord. And he's looking comfortable. There's still the two fights going on. Nacho is starting to pull away from DC, but I think with the DRS, it should bring him back slightly as Crack gets Rapid with the DRS.
And Rapid will try and go underneath him into turn 3, and now he stays behind. But this time we'll have DRS. Maybe a little less than last time round when he overtook him, and Rapid was able to, Crack was able to get back at him with the DRS. So let's see down into turn 4 if he'll try and make an overtake. They lost another second thanks to that. The gap was 6.4 and now it's 7.2. So the longer these two keep fighting it out, the more Indeed Jesus extends his gap, and that'll be very critical once the pit stops start happening too. Essentially, Indeed Jesus could stay out there as long as he wants, as long as they can't go down too dramatically and try and reduce his stint for the hards later on and make him much more comfortable towards the end of the Grand Prix. But bearing in mind though, Crack did say it's going to raid towards the end of the race, so yeah, very critical times to build the gaps, and once the race starts to hit back the circuit, it'll be very difficult to overtake with the difficulty of overtaking in the wet in general and this track too. So no DRS either in the wet. So it's very critical now to overtake your rivals before the race starts happening, and also pit at the right time too, as looks like he's what you said about DC, the gap started to stabilise now between himself and Nacho. Nacho overtook him before, but now King Thai Panda is all over the back of the Mercedes driver too. Had a bit of a wobble on going out turn 14, maybe hasn't reduced his tyre pressures because he's really been sliding in those fast speed corners, and tyre temps around here can really pay a dent in your race as well. Here he is, actually going for a move into turn 1. Does he get the move stick? No, Nacho tries to stick around the outside. I don't think that's a wise thing to do, going side by side into turn 1 there, because there's not enough space for two of them to go side by side. DC gets the move done, outbreaks himself. Nacho and Panda all over the back of him. Panda waiting for the right opportunity. Nacho fighting with DC as we head down into turn 5. Nacho with the DRS. Will he be late on the brakes though, as it makes slight contact going in there? DC goes a bit wide, and Panda, will he take advantage of that too? As we continue our battle going down into turn 6 and turn 7, DC trying to stick it on the inside. Nacho goes out wide, gets a 3-second time penalty. DC overtakes Nacho. Here comes Panda. Will he overtake Nacho? Yes, he will then. So Nacho lost 2 places due to that, and now Panda puts himself in between them, puts himself into P7, and now we're looking to overtake DC on the straight. DC little battle, but yeah, contact was made inevitably going down to turn 1, going side by side like that. You don't really want to do that because, yeah, it's just such a tight corner. The nature of the track doesn't suit it either. DC really sliding going out turn 13. It's just these corners, those slow speed corners, where he really does struggle to put the throttle down and therefore slides, and doesn't help him when he gets on the straight too. They're all important straight where overtaking can happen, and now King Panda is all over the back of him. Should be an easy move with the DRS and the ERS2 and the slipstream, and he pulls the right side to overtake him for P6.
Yeah, this fight's getting closer and closer. As Rapid is now on the back of Crack, they can't get enough of fighting in this tier. I'm not used to it, if I'm honest. But yeah, Rapid, Crack now ahead in P2 with Rapid behind him by 4/10, but that's going to keep closing as the DRS comes. But as Indigo said before, when it rains, there's no DRS, which might sound stupid, but if you think of it, you've got to get it done as soon as you can, I guess. Yeah, a few laps ago as well, Mazzles and Polishman fighting. I think Mazzles have got out ahead, which he has, yes. Polishman's starting to struggle on his tyres a little bit, I think.
Yeah, Jay Hartnell pitted quite early in this race too, and Polishman 13th place, who I think he also spun as well, still on those hard compound tyres, so he hasn't switched to the mediums just yet. But Nacho getting the power down, drifting out the corner as we head down into turn number 13. Another difficult corner. He can be very patient as well too. You can see DC once again is really struggling, and considering Nacho's on the mediums, he's good. Oh, that's an optimistic move down the inside. I think I should have waited for that, but he made contact going down into turn 14. The door was slightly open, but I think he should have waited on the straight, and he cost himself a bit of time towards King Panda 2. Tobes is in the pit lane to complete his medium stint, and he'll go on the hard compound tyres, and let's see where he should rejoin as we head down to turn 1 between Nacho and DC. So it is the slow speed corners where Nacho with DC really does struggle and not his strongest suit. As you can see, went out wide through turn 3. Nacho will try to set himself up, but bear in mind now, Nacho's got to watch out because Ross, whoever I haven't mentioned in this race whatsoever, is currently P8 and on the back of Nacho. And let's see, oh, he almost outbroke himself and took Nacho out too. You can see all 3 of them had a problem coming out of turn number 5, just lose the back of the car. And I expected DC to be quicker than Nacho, considering he's on the hard compound tyres and these mediums should be fading away, so I expect him to pull away, but himself on those hards is really starting to struggle. I really hope on the second stint on those mediums he finds his rhythm and form and can close in on the back of them, because the qualifying lap was amazing, but in terms of the race, he just really is struggling around here in Portugal. Not surprised either in Portugal, because it's such a difficult track and you got a lot of corners and slow speed corners, high speed corners, undulation as well, elevation changes around here, and you really got to work the setup to suit this track. And here we are, Nacho then on the back of DC. DC does not have DRS on the back of Panda. So Nacho is in the pit lane then to get rid of those medium compound tyres as expected. 17 laps in this Grand Prix. Will DC pit to respond to go on the medium compound tyres, or will he try and stretch it out later to try and reduce his stint on the medium compound tyres? However, the battle for P2 is still happening between Crack, Rapid and KXI. Looks like they sorted themselves out. But indeed Jesus though, the gap is 7.6, and we'll see where Nacho rejoins. He's still in the pit lane. I forgot how long the pit lane is around here. As we see, Mazzle's on the back of Dragon of Speed. He's on those 16 lap all medium compound tyres. That's Tobes on the Ferrari, sorry. So he's on brand new hards against Mazzle's 16 lap all mediums, and he should be able to pull away from the Alpha Tyre driver. But indeed Jesus' pace on those mediums is still looking very strong and handy, and this second stint will be very good to him because he has a big advantage, and once those two go on the medium compound tyres, it'll be very difficult to try and claw their way back in, especially with the rain on its way. And yeah, indeed Jesus looks very, very comfortable so far in this race. Usually I prefer the strategy from hards to mediums, but mediums to hards is working for Indian Jesus. Keeping up the pace and doesn't look to be struggling on his tyres so far. Well, I say that, I haven't looked at it really. But Rapid and Crack is in the pit lane then to go on the mediums.
Yeah, I think At the start of this race, I got the strategy thing, and medium soft was an option apparently. So I presume Jesus is going for that, which I didn't expect, if I'm honest. I expected him to pit last lap to counter the opponent, but KXI out on the mediums as well. Rapid in P2 started to space themselves out a bit now after the pits, but hopefully it'll bring them back together after everyone's pit.
Crack rejoins in P7 with nice fresh air ahead of him, nobody around him. The gap is 11.9, so he can try and utilise these mediums to try and undercut Rapid and KXI. And Dracula's speed further behind should be no threat due to his tyres being 17 laps old. So Crack can really use his clean air to try and do the undercut on Rapid and KXI ahead of him. So let's see what happens then if Rapid responds on this lap. And Indy Jesus can respond whenever he wants to, of course. And here we are going down into turn 13. That pit lane is so long. You only want to do a one stop around here, not a two stop, unless of course if a safety car virtual is deployed. But Indy Jesus, when will he pit? Not this lap. He stays out there for the time being. His ERS management is still very good despite being in front and alone. And here comes Rapid, not going into pit lane, so he stays out there for one extra lap.
Yeah, I think it definitely shows that Jesus is going for the one stop, the medium to soft, which theoretically is faster, but at the end, if there's rain, the soft might be very, very dead. So there's no grip in the wet, but there's no promises that's going to happen, so I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it's an interesting race now. Tobes 3/10 behind his teammate Dragon, as I thought they were both coming to pit, as they seem to both back out. And Tobes going for a move down into turn 1, which, interesting place, but he got it done before the corner. As Jay Hartnell was also doing the same thing to Mazzles. So yeah, I hope, and I presume Jesus is going to pit next lap. I think anything later, he'll just lose too much time.
Yeah, he can afford to extend his stint for about 3 or 4 laps before the tyres really starts to drop off, and plus Crack on the brand new set of mediums clawing his way back in, so he can't stay out there for too long in Indy G's. Maybe comfortable now, but bearing in mind though, gotta watch out for the guys behind too. And Rapid too, what's he gonna do on those hard compound tyres? Will he extend it to the soft compound tyres? I'm not quite sure. Indy Jesus stays out there, and I do remember tyre wear not being too bad around here. It's usually tyre temps that are the problem around here. Now I think about it, in the old race we used to have in 2020 and 2021, as KXI makes his pit stop, the mediums went a long way in the race as well. I'm talking about 25 laps in the race too. So yeah, the mediums could go for a long way. It's all about managing tyre temps as well, as Ross is in the pit lane too. So KXI has gone from mediums to soft tyres then. So looks like the softs then are a good race tyre around here, as Crack sets the fastest lap of the race. Obviously we don't have a lot of information about this track now due to not being on the calendar in the actual F1, because it's not been on the calendar since 2021, and so we don't really know what the information is around here, around the circuit. And Crack in P5 on those mediums. Will Rapid go towards the soft compound tyres? That's the only option I think, because there's no point now going from hards to mediums. I think hards to softs is the way to go now for Rapid. Do you think?
Yeah, I think soft. Any pits from now should be going onto softs. Interestingly, Dragon on speed in P8. He's not made his pit stop yet, which is a bit more of a concern, because when he does pit, he will come out. I think he'll come out P12, I believe. Oh, as Polishman's retired in the pit lane. Interestingly, as Indian G, he's pitting this lap, 20 laps on the medium tyres, which fair enough. Is very well. I hope Clipper does the same, but he's going to go on to hopefully the softs when he trundles his way down the pits, and he might get held up by his teammate. No. He's been held up by his teammate.
I do remember this scenario before in the past where somebody's retired in the pit lane and he's stationary. It looks like he's stationary. Is he stuck? No, it's just a bit of a lag spike there. So that's really fortunate for Indy Jesus not to be stuck in the pit lane. I think I remember in Austria where somebody retired in the pit lane, and Jeroen Visser and who else was it? Somebody else got hauled up in the pit lane too, and they cost him a lot of tyres. So I've seen strategies like that unfold due to somebody retired in the pit lane, and it's your teammate too. It's the worst possible scenario as well. I think I remember happening at Portimao a few seasons ago as well, probably not in Cone, but in another league race where somebody pitted and they got stuck behind a teammate. So there's been a few glitches as well in the past where that's happened, but thankfully I'm not quite sure why the car comes back on the circuit. If you're going to retire the pit lane, the car should stay in the pit lane and not come out on the track. But Rapid leads the Grand Prix then, and he'll be going from hards to soft. So Crack, what do you think about his tyre strategy now? Does he think he's made the wrong call now by judging about what the people are doing? But he has to make his mediums work then, so he has to fully push on those medium compound tyres to make sure Rapid doesn't catch up towards the end of the Grand Prix. You can see the clouds gathering in. It was sunny when the race started, but now the clouds started to gather in. Now Crack is all over the back of Claire PR, looking for ways to get past him. You don't want to risk it too much, but here he is then at turn 14. You see him lift off. He was waiting for the DRS there. He wanted the DRS, but I'm not quite sure if he got it or not. Anyways, Claire PR is in the pit lane, so we won't be overtaking him into turn 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on at the front with the Alpines. Neither have pit, and there's a 11.5-second gap between the two. Neither of them have pit, so they're either waiting for the wet so you don't have to pit, or they're going to pit very late, but that will, I presume, just cause more issues, because they'll go down quite far down the order compared to where they were before, I presume, in Jesus pit. And on top of the Jesus pit stop, if he didn't get held up by his teammate, I think he might have stayed ahead of Crack. He lost about, I think it was an extra half-second wait because he had to slow down on entry. So yeah, this race could be very different right now if Polishman wasn't politely in his way.
The gap was 7 seconds before Crack made his pit stop towards India Jesus, so that's how powerful it was, the undercut, and also that time loss as well in the pit lane. But India Jesus should be really quick. His pace in general, and also him being on the soft compound tyres, he should have no problem getting to the back of Crack and overtaking him. Crack himself is putting pressure on King Panda as Rapid is in the pit lane then, so I'm not quite sure how long the pit lane loss is around here. Probably over 20 seconds. It's a long pit lane, and also King Panda's pitted too, so it's a double stack, but the 11-second... Oh no, he gets a 5-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane, does King Panda. I don't know if he can serve it now during his pit stop, can he?
No, you have to wait till the next one, but he's been held up as well by his teammate pitting ahead of him. I'm not sure why they choose the double stack. I know there was quite a big gap, but with the game it's not the smartest, and you do get held up even though they left a few seconds ago. But the 5-second penalty is going to really ruin his race. He's now down into P9, which is not where he wants to be. But DC brought it back to P6, and he has pit, so hopefully, well, everyone's pit now. Jay Hartnell's made 2 pit stops, and he's still in P12. The only person, just going back to the standings, the only person to not score points is obviously Mark Wilson. He also DNF'd. And the reason for the DNF was he had the ERS on during the corner, which, if you don't know, that corner with the ERS is a big no-no. You are basically bound to death.
Any corner with the ERS on in the high-speed corners is a big no-no as well. Big traction zones, you can't afford to have the ERS on, so small mistakes like that, unfortunately, Mark Wilson has cost him to retire, and for the 7th race in a row he will not score points. He's had the potential to score points in racing. I thought he was one of the big shots of this season, but yeah, he's been retired in the pit lane, unfortunately retired on the track this time, so I really hope he can find his form and not make mistakes like that. But India Jesus with the soft compound tyres has gained rapidly on Crack, and let's see how long will overtake to overtake him. So the clouds start to gather in. What lap will it rain, of course? And Crack had a slight moment at turn 2 going to turn 3, or turn 3 and turn 4, so as we head down into the braking zone at turn 5. Indian Jesus not close enough. Obviously, don't have to make any risks, does Indian Jesus, so doesn't want to risk contact with Crack. Had a dominating lead, and he's struck behind him, but it shouldn't be a problem due to soft compound tyres. He wants to overtake him before the rain, of course, because he doesn't want to follow him into the pit lane on the intermediates, and therefore be much harder to overtake him during the wet. So he's going to really play his cards right as Indian Jesus before the wet starts to impact the circuit. And yeah, like I said, shouldn't take any risks. He doesn't have to fight too hard against Crack. He just needs to pick his moments. When once he gets close enough on the straight, make an overtake and pull away. That's what he got to do, really. He had commanding pace at the front on his first stint, and I don't think there should be a reason why he shouldn't have it in the second stint, especially being on the soft compound tyres, where Crack on the 3-lap order, medium compound tyres. So I think this is the lap, or the moment, where India Jesus will take the lead of the Grand Prix. And as you can see for yourselves, easy move with the power of the DRS and the ERS2, puts himself into P1. Nothing Crack can do about it, of course, unless Crack can stay in the DRS of India Jesus this time. but I don't think he can due to soft compound tyres on the Aston Martin, and therefore he can pull away. And Rapid is ahead of Tobes. He puts himself up into P4. So let's talk about Rapid now. So he's off the podium. The gap between himself is 3 seconds between him and KXI. I think KXI is doable, but I think the gap's too much between himself and Crack. Has he left it out there too late on the hard compound tyres to go on the softs? Has he cost himself P2 in this race? We'll see. I think KXI is on offer, but in terms of himself and Crack, I think he might have put it a bit too late.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one, staying out, I think it was 21 laps to pit. He's obviously on the fresher tyres, only by 3 laps, so it'll only make a difference to the last couple of laps. One thing I am taking a look at is the weather. Obviously, you've been saying that the clouds are coming in, but I think it's only going to be raining for the last, 2 laps, 3 laps, I can't see it being any more. It's still quite bright, which is a sign that it's not going to rain for too long. But Indian Jesus, nearly a second ahead of Crack now. It's, yeah. He's a very dominant driver here today.
It is indeed from Indian Jesus. He's made no mistakes whatsoever in the race. I remember him making a few mistakes now and then, but looks like he sorted out and rectified his problems, and therefore he will extend his championship lead if he does finish in P1 in the race. But Crack still in the back of Indian Jesus. Well, the power of the DRS really helping him to get back in there, but how long can he stay in that DRS? His main focus, I think, is Rapid in P4. The gap is about 10 seconds between himself and Crack, so I think Crack's target is just try and focus on Rapid, who's currently gaining at a rate of knots. The gap was 3 seconds a lap ago, now it's 2 seconds behind KXI, so the tyre difference is really helping the British driver in the Alpine. KXI looking for another podium. He hasn't got a podium since the first race of the season, in which he won at Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. But his podium chances are looking unlikely now due to Rapid closing him at a rate of knots and also being on fresher soft compound tyres. 3 laps makes a huge difference around any circuit, especially on the soft compound tyres, which degrade heavily in any single race on any circuit. The soft compound tyres being the most malleable tyres. Not really a race tyre unless obviously circumstances like these where you can stretch the hards a very long way or mediums in a very long way, and therefore go on the soft compound tyres. But softs, generally, as a race tyre, not my favourite. I've always struggled on the soft compound tyres no matter how many laps are left to go in the race, but I prefer the mediums in comparison to any other tyre. But the gap is 1.2 now, so he's gained 8 tenths on that lap alone, has Rapid, and started to close on the back of KXI. So KXI has to dispose Rapid has to dispose KXI immediately and can't afford to dawdle around with the Red Bull because his main focus on P2. The gap is 9.1 between himself and Crack. Crack has dropped out the DRS range of Indian Jesus, so he doesn't have that extra speed down the straights to try and prevent Rapid closing in. So let's see what happens then. He's almost in the DRS range of KXI, but not just. But in the middle speed or in the middle sector, he should be closing in with the tyres helping him through the high-speed corners.
Yeah, sorry, my game was being a bit weird there. Yeah, Indian G is 1.8 seconds ahead of Crack. It definitely shows something, that he's got a lot of pace. That's the best way to put it. I think it was 2 laps ago that he was behind Crack, and now he's just hit 2 seconds ahead of Crack. It's it's an interesting one to explain.
I wonder if those softs, or Indian Jesus softs, I had a massive flash on my screen there. I'm not quite sure if that was just lightning or something like that, but you can see Rapid is all over the back of KXI. This should be an easy move down the straight, and once he overtakes him, he's got to pull about 8 seconds on Crack in the next 5 or 6 laps. So here he is alongside him, puts himself into P3, an easy move, and now his main focus is Crack. The gap is 7.8 seconds. Can Rapid close in on Crack? I wonder in the next 5 laps or so. It's going to be a very challenging, difficult task for Rapid to close in. Has he left it too late on the hard compound tyres? And we'll see what happens towards the end of the Grand Prix. Ross has picked up a 3-second time penalty, currently running down to P7. Looks like DC sorted himself out now in P6. He lost a lot of positions initially in the first stint, but in the second stint, it looks like the gap stabilised between himself and managed to find some pace on those mediums. Currently in P6 and in the DRS range of Tobe, so P5 could be on offers for him, as Mazzles and Dragon of Speed are currently fighting for P12. It looks like DC has to wait another race to get his first win of the season, and Dragon of Speed almost hit the back of Mazzles 2 going down into turn number 3, heading up into turn 4. The gap is now 7 seconds now between Crack and Rapid. So Rapid now in clean air, nobody ahead of him for 7 seconds. Can he try and close that gap down? I wonder. It's going to be a big ask, but Rapid, for Crack's sake, he's got to make sure he makes no mistakes whatsoever in the next 5 laps or so. He's got 0% ERS, literally, so he's going to be vulnerable down the straights, but he best hope the Alpine in the background don't close in, otherwise he will be able to have the ERS to protect himself against the Alpine driver.
Well, I've been thinking, can KXI bring it back? He's brought it back to 0.6 of a second, and it's changing quite a lot. It seems to be down the straight, obviously with the DRS coming back up towards Rapid. But can KXI get ahead of Rapid and slow him down so that Rapid can't catch back up to Crack? Crack's obviously on the 11 lap old medium, sorry. KXI on the 9 lap old softs compared to Rapid's 6 lap, but he's keeping it close. So can he put the pressure on Rapid to make some sort of mistake to bring KXI back onto the podium?
Good question, that indeed. Can KXI interrupt Rapid's progress to catch towards the back of Crack? I wonder. How about those soft compound tyres? Because the gap is actually 1.7 between India Juice and Crack. So I wonder if the soft compound tyres aren't as great as I thought they'd be. Maybe they started to degrade just a bit on those softs. But for Rapid, soft compound tyres should be okay. And the gap is about 6.6, so it's not enough to close on Crack, so that must be the wrong strategy call, I wonder, for Rapid. I think P3 is at his best, and we'll have to watch out for KXI, who's just outside the 1 second range of DRS. But I wonder, can Crack's medium compound tyres be better than the softs later on in the Grand Prix? The gap is about 1.8 now, so not as much as I thought it'd be. I thought it'd be long gone by now, but actually the gap's 2 seconds between himself and Crack. So later on, once those softs start to fade away a bit more, can Crack be in a contention to win this Grand Prix? I think Crack's got P2 for sure, but P1, I don't know how good those soft compound tyres will be, as Panda has overtaken Ross with P7. Panda still inside the top 10 despite having that 5 second time penalty to serve. Well, he hasn't served it just yet. He picked it up during his first pit stop and hasn't been able to serve it. So bear in mind though, Ross and Nacho got 3 second time penalties. He's well ahead of Nacho, but he's got to build a gap on Ross if he can. Currently in P7 with some decent pace so far. It's a shame about that penalty, but still winning his own little race down there in P7 with Ross behind. I haven't mentioned Ross much. He's done a great job so far. He's been unlucky in the last few races with retirements, but P8 is a decent result, and hopefully can stay there for the remaining few laps of this race. The gap stabilised between Crack and India Jesus about 1.6 to 1.8, so India Jesus is not able to pull away. Will be under pressure towards the last few laps of this Grand Prix when those softs get older and older. We'll see what happens as we approach lap 31 out of 33.
Yeah, I think Crack, there's a chance, and I'm going to say this, he could get him on the last lap here. The softs are going to start dying very, very quickly. But Crack's mediums, 13 laps, we saw them go about, I think it was 16 before, 17. Well, some people went 20, so I think it's definitely possible for Crack to be faster, sorry, and especially down the straight. The only issue is, Crack's now derating, which just means he's on low ERS, which he can't fight very well down the straight, so it's going to be a close one. And I know I've said that many times in this race, but it's a difficult one to judge. All the drivers here, very quick, very clean, and yeah, as Mazel's fighting for the last points spot in this race. As they go side by side down into turn 1, Dragon just losing out. He's on the fresher tyres, which I think he's just backing off slightly to get the better run with the DRS on the last lap. Yeah, I think India Jesus over this lap, he should win this one now. There's only 2 laps left, but he's brought it back up to 1.9 seconds. I'm
intrigued by KXI's pace because he's still in the DRS range of Rapid. Rapid is 7 seconds now behind Crack. It was 6.5 earlier on, now it's 7.1. So Rapid does not have the pace to catch Crack and actually has to watch out for KXI. So him catching P2, his podium chances might be gone now, with KXI still in the back of him and has got a lot of ERS and disposal too to try and overtake him. If he can, those 12 lap old sauce won't be any good, but KXI, with his great pace so far, could be on course for a podium, and his first podium since Saudi Arabia when he won that race, of course. So let's see what happens between KXI and KXI and Rapid, sorry, as KXI is still able to hold on to the back of the DRS range of Rapid. But in these 2 laps, as long as Indy and Jesus don't make any mistakes whatsoever, he's got to make sure he doesn't have any moments of oversteer and he doesn't outbrake himself, because Crack is 1.5 seconds behind him, so he's gaining. But with 1 more lap to go, can Indy and Jesus hold on? I know soft compound tyres could be overheating, of course, as well, with him constantly sliding around on those tyres. It looks like Rapid's able to dispose KXI as well. The gap's 1.1 now, so Rapid might be safe for the time being, but got to make sure he himself doesn't make any mistakes. As lap 32 out of 33, the Aston Martin driver who's dominated this race so far heads towards the final corner to start. Here's last flying lap. Dragon Speed is actually going for the fastest lap of the race, but he could be a lap down if Indy G's catched him. Nope, I think Dragon Speed should be safe, so we get an extra lap to set the fastest lap of the race, I hope for his sake. But here we are, down to turn 1 for Indy G's. He's got 4.6 kilometers left to go in this race. You've got to make sure he doesn't make any sort of mistake whatsoever with those soft compound tyres constantly degraded and sliding underneath him. But I've been on board with him in the last lap or two. The car looks pretty stable, you know. I don't see any signs of him oversteering, wheel spinning. So it looks like the car is pretty stable underneath him, and doesn't look like he's struggling whatsoever on those 12 lap old softs. And the rain hasn't hit the circuit, so LT Crack's decision hasn't paid off. But he's able to, well, it actually has paid off, you know, pitted earlier, been on the medium compound tyres because Rapid is not able to close in. So Crack's decision to go on the medium compound tyres actually worked in his favours. And I thought it'd be under massive pressure with those soft runners behind him, but actually not. He's closing, but it's a bit too late now for LT Crack. Maybe a few more laps, but yeah, it's the last lap of the Grand Prix. This is the closest it's been ever since it's been overtaken by Indy Jesus. The gap is 1.4. And Indy Jesus can relax now in his final 2 corners, not under pressure whatsoever. And here he is as he makes his way now towards the final corner. Indy Jesus is going to come across the line to take his 3rd win of the season in Portugal and extended his championship lead. What a commanding drive from Indy Jesus. LT Crack finishes in P2. Rapid will come across the line to finish in P3. Dropped KXI by 2 seconds as well. And DC fell down the order quite dramatically in the first stint, but actually came back strong to finish in P5. Tobes in P6 ahead of King Panda in P7. But what's the gap between himself? The rain has hit the circuit now.
I've just noticed Panda's got another 5-second penalty for an unserved penalty, which I presume would have been a drive-through. If I'm not mistaken, Panda's, I've just got the alert that he's got a 5-second penalty for an unserved penalty of. I'm gonna check actually because it's an interesting one. I'm not sure what he did wrong. I know Panda definitely he sped in the pit lane before, but that's about it.
Yeah, he sped in the pit lane, but he wasn't able to serve his penalty, and that's the penalty he was carrying through the whole race ever since that speed in the pit lane.
Well, I got told that he had another 5-second penalty, which yeah, we'll see after the race. I don't think he got anything else, but yeah, unfortunate for KXI on the last lap. He could have got him, but I think he just lost his tyres. They were a bit older than KXI's. Sorry, Rapid. I don't know why I said KXI. Just a bit. I think they're 3 laps older than Rapid, so it's going to be a difficult task. But he's unfortunately not managed to pull it off. Yeah,
just missed out the podium there, and. Well, it's been a decent race. We haven't seen the battle for the lead ever since that pit stop, but yeah, that's how the race goes sometimes. And German driver comes out on top ahead of the Brits, and DC finishes in P5 ahead of Toes. Panda 7th place, Ross in the AlphaTauri 8th place. Under the radar a bit of Ross, started in 12th place, finished in P8, clear PR. Finished in P9, having to serve a 5-second time penalty due to cutting the corners and gaining an advantage in his first pit stop. Nacho 10th ahead of Jay Hartnell. The Williams have quite a habit of finishing 10th place, you know. Finished in 10th place quite a few times this season. Jay Hartnell in the P11 ahead of Mazzles in 12th, Jaguar Speed 13th. And there's the DNS then. 2 DNFs in this race, which is Polishman and Mark Wilson. One of them was on the track and one of them was in the pit lane. But thanks to having no safety cars in this race, I'm able to go to the tournament now because I've been needing one ever since qualifying, so I'll take that advantage. Just tell the drivers to join the podium interviews because they all should be in the drivers chat.
Yeah, I've let them know.
whilst I go to the toilet, Palmer, I'll be carrying my phone and I'll be listening in, so you can start the podium interviews if you want.
Lovely. Thanks for letting us know. I think we'll just wait a few seconds for Crack and Rapid for the interviews. Indian Jesus has joined, just waiting for the other two. Interestingly, I did notice in this race, no pit repairs, so no one pit for wing damage, which was an interesting. Well, yeah, I expected damage from some people, but apparently not. Just give him a few more moments for him to join, see if they do, and I'll be back. Okay, I think we'll start the interviews because I'm sure Crack and Rapid aren't going to join. Never mind, as Rapid joins, so I think we'll wait a few more seconds to see if Crack joins. Wouldn't surprise me if he does or doesn't. Hopefully he does. It'd be nice to speak to him. Jesus, are you there?
Hi there.
Hello. Very dominant race tonight. I think the first stint, very, very distant to the cars behind. The second stint when you pit, unfortunate to get held up in your teammate's pit. I think that would have lost you about a second, was it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a second. Yeah.
Was it? Were you expecting that? I know when you saw him retire, we were expecting him to get in your way slightly.
Yeah, I was torn, right? Because I saw him pitting. I got the message on the penultimate corner, I think, and I knew I couldn't really stay out because Crack was doing insane times on his new mediums, so I had to pit. And then I just went in, hoped for the best, and unluckily I got held up a bit. But it's nothing you could do, nothing you could have done to prevent that, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. Were you expecting that much of a fight from Crack there, fighting for the lead? I know you're on fresher tyres, but it didn't look easy.
He had a mate. I mean, honestly, first of all, this was one of the toughest races I've had so far. Just the amount of concentration you've had to have during the race, not to mess up, not to make mistakes. And Crack was constantly putting on the pressure, especially in stint 2. And I was actually kind of surprised after I pitted that he was ahead of me. I thought I would still have like a 2-second gap maybe to him, and then just pull away on the softs. But his pace on the fresh mediums was insane. I underestimated the undercut. And I mean, props to him. He was phenomenal today.
Yeah, that puts you further ahead in the championship, I think. What are your thoughts on Monza? It's a very interesting racetrack, but a lot of people like it.
I would have liked to race there, but I'm missing next week due to skiing holiday. So yeah, no points for me.
Unfortunately, I think you'll still be in the title fight, definitely. Okay, we'll move on to Singapore. What are your thoughts on Singapore if that's your next race?
I absolutely love Singapore. It's one of my home races. I used to live there for a while, so I absolutely love that track. I think for the remainder of the season, the rest of the calendar is going to be absolute bangers, so I'm just looking forward to every single race, to be honest.
Fair enough. Still waiting on Indigo to get back, so I can't control the stream. He's back.
Okay, yeah.
You got any questions for Jesus?
Well, I don't know what you said to him, so I'm going to say this, Jesus. Congrats to the race win, mate. You did absolutely fantastic, and keep it up. You did a fantastic job for the whole thing, and looks like 3 wins in a row. Not 3 wins in a row, but 3 wins this season. You're looking on form, and good luck for the rest of the season, mate.
Thanks a lot, Jamie.
You're welcome, Jesus. And is the rest of the drivers here?
Rapid here, Crack has unfortunately not joined. I will ping him again.
I don't think Crack has a mic because I don't remember. Yeah, he does actually because he joined the party before you came in, so he does have a mic.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
Rapid's here, so we can start on the questions to Rapid.
Rapid, mate. Not the result you wanted, but did you feel like staying out too long on the hard compound tyres cost you your race today, mate?
Yeah, I think so.
Were you worried about KXI towards the end of the Grand Prix too? Because it looked like he was still on the back of you, and he might be losing a chance of a podium, but he kept it at bay.
Well, I knew I was going to come out on fresher tyres after I pitted in the end for soft, so I was just trying to catch him, and then just then overtake him for the podium.
With the strategy calls, was that always the strategy for you to respond to Crack and see what he does, and you did the opposite of him?
Well, I knew I was always gonna start on the hards, but the tyre after I was a bit 50-50 about. I saw Crack go on mediums. I was debating whether to respond to him, but I just ended up staying out. I was kind of hoping for a safety car to come out, to be honest, but it didn't. So
Yeah, not likely around Portugal with the amount of runoff areas, but P3 is still a good result for you, mate, because you're P3, I think, in the championship standings, judging by the results, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't done the maths, but I think it should be right. But how are you looking for the rest of the race season, mate? Are you feeling more confident now the more races you've had, because your pace has been monumental this season, and you're looking forward to the next race of the seasons, judging by the way you're going now?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, looking forward to the rest of the races. Should be good. Yeah, the confidence has gone higher a little bit. As you said, like the races I've done more races now this season. Built the confidence up a little bit. Got some good results. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season and hopefully some more good races. Yeah.
Are you constantly learning now these dive strategies, and the more races you do, you see what other people are doing too? Are you constantly learning each race, do you think?
Oh yeah, you're definitely learning each race, like what you can do different, like what can make your race better and all that. Yeah, but yeah, you're definitely learning every race. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much, Rapid. And Palmer, you got any questions for Rapid?
I noticed when you were pitting, I'm not sure if it was intentional or if it just kind of happened. Panda behind you, your teammate, looked like he was slightly holding up the cars behind. Was that on purpose or was that just accidental?
Sorry, say that again.
Your teammate Panda, when you were pitting, looked like he was slightly holding up the cars behind. Was that to give you any sort of advantage, or was that just kind of happened?
I didn't really notice it, to be honest. There weren't no intentions of holding people up behind. I didn't really notice it. So.
Fair enough.
Right, thank you very much, and been a pleasure to commentate with you, Palmer, too. Again.
Thank you.
Hopefully we could have more turn-ups next race in, what was it, Singapore you said?
Monza.
Monza. I just heard Singapore when I came back, so I assume it was that race. But join us back for the Portugal Grand Prix at 8:15 for Tier 1, and join us back for Tier 3 at 7:30 on Monday for Monza. Should be an interesting one. Hopefully more drivers turn up. Maybe Vegas and Portugal, but this time out, third time lucky, we'll have a full turnout